Hello, talking about Lilith in this video, Dark Moon Lilith and Black Moon Lilith. And I'm doing this live because I don't have that much room on my computer, so I don't want to mess around with making a video. And it's just going to be an introductory video. Somebody recommended or requested that I do something on Lilith. And I'm not an expert on Lilith. However, I have picked up this book and read it once by Mary Blue. It is a Jeffrey Wolf Green evolutionary astrology production. And I did like the book, but I don't really remember much about it. So I'm going to leave this book out for now because that was a while ago. And I'm going to primarily focus on what's in this book. I've talked about this book before. And we'll go over what this book talks about Lilith, the Lilith Trinity, and what it means in the birth chart. And then I'm going to try to use my chart as an example. So let me bring that up a while here so that I have that ready. I should have done that before. So there's three points we're going to look at in the chart. We're going to look at the regular Lilith, which, and if you go to astro.com, it is listed as L on the chart. It's listed as Lilit. And then we're going to look at Dark Moon Lilith, which is listed as let me make sure I got this right. So if you go on there, you'd enter in H13, H58, and 1181. And you have to do that in order to get this to come up under the asteroid section. Did I do that right? Okay, I did. So it's going to come up as, Lilith is going to come up as Lilit. Dark Moon is going to come up as Walde, Walde. And Black Moon Lilith is going to come up as Lil parentheses O parentheses. So I'm just going to read some of this. The asteroid Lilith, that's the Lilit, describes the first stage in the mythical journey where she is suppressed, humiliated, and flees in a fiery rage to the desolate wilderness. So asteroid Lilith is going to be similar to Chiron, I suppose. When we're talking about this, I guess we're talking about the feminine aspect of yourself, where she is suppressed and humiliated. So I think this is why this is important for a lot of people, because it really, if you look at when I look at my chart, this is everything that I'm reading here is very much true, 100%. I've seen this in my life. Suppressed and humiliated. And then we're going to go to, so it also says the asteroid Lilith indicates where our wound originated. So we get in my chart, I have this placement in the third. It's in the third house, but it's like a degree. It's a degree off of the IC, off the fourth house cusp. where the wound originated. So for me, and it's in Taurus. So for me, I see this as some of the things I went through as a kid. Parents divorcing, parents fighting a lot, uh, sister's death, having a hard time emotionally expressing myself in a healthy manner. Uh, Also, really having that feeling of wanting to be myself and not, maybe this isn't exactly correlate, but I'm just kind of throwing it all in there and you can make of it if you will. Like really having a hard time expressing myself the way I want to without being embarrassed. Now, with that, all that being said, it really wasn't that bad for me, but just want to throw that in there as an example. And then Dark Moon Lilith, which is the Waldi, signifies or depicts the pain of her exile where she plots and executes revenge. So in my chart, it's in the third house in Aries. And you could see that as being the third house in Aries. There was uh, oftentimes with everything that I said, I was doing a lot of speaking out. I was in situations where I was kind of like put down uh, in a way, and as I said, not able to express myself. And then really, you think of third house Aries third house Mars Mercury combination, like really caustically making your point. And I can think of just an example of being on, like, say, the basketball team and not getting playing time, and having go into a whole story about that. And I would speak out in this Mars Mercury way, and no one would listen to me. And in the end, no one did listen to me. I had to leave that environment. And I could, you could see that as being signifies how and where or I'm sorry, depicts the pain and where she plots and executes her revenge. And with me, there's a lot of things that I would like to say that I can't say without really projecting my experience onto everyone else. So then we have Black Moon Lilith, which is the Li parentheses O, shows how she transmutes her distorted image back into its natural, healthy expression. And I have that in the first house slash second house Aquarius at 1 degree. And it's interesting that this video is coming up because Pluto is about to transit that point in my chart at 1 degree Aquarius again. And during this whole period of Pluto going back and forth over the cusp of Aquarius and Capricorn, I have actually been going through this. So it's interesting that this came up to some degree, where we see here shows how she transmutes her distorted image back into its natural, healthy expression. And I, at probably any other point in my life, I feel like I've went through this process and that I am able to express myself confidently in a healthy way, without feeling shame, without feeling regret, without feeling the need to get revenge on anyone. And I believe that this channel and another channel that I have that totally has nothing to do with this, or has nothing to do with astrology, is Pluto transiting this Black Moon Lilith. So here's a little recap. It says asteroid Lilith indicates where a wound originated. Dark Moon Lilith signifies how and where we experience the distorted aspects of Lilith in our lives, her anguish, bitterness, betrayal, alienation, fear, and hatred of sexuality and revenge. Black Moon Lilith shows how and where we cut away our pretensions, false roles, and delusions, and actually who we essentially are. So again, that Aquarius, thinking of the internet, the Black Moon Lilith, where we cut away our pretensions, false roles, delusions, and actualize who we are. And I am currently doing that on the internet, especially with my other channel. Lilith, the asteroid Lilith is the only actual verifiable physical body. So there's actually an asteroid in space that is named Lilith. She also indicates the ways in which we need to assert our own truths. That's quoted by Demetra George. So I said it was this themes of suppression, resentment, explosive anger, rejection, and fight in our lives. For me, this fight for emotional security, family, stability in the home. This has been a fight. It didn't really need to be honest, but if I really wanted to be myself, then it came. It really, because of that, it came through as a fight. Uh, and you could think of like the fight for survival. In my case, the resistance to sitting in a chair and working in an office and literally doing nothing all day, bored, fighting the mental battle, because that would have gave me survival if I could have done that. So the fight against that. She also indicates the ways in which we need to assert our own truths. We all have imprinted in us the original undistorted female image, which is defined by the natal placement of the individual's asteroid Lilith, where we feel free to move, act, and speak our truth. This correlates in the current life to what our underlying ideal image is of a woman. Underlying ideal image of a woman. For me, I don't know if it doesn't really talk about the ideal image of a woman for a woman. But I suppose it's really no different. They could see the ideal image of a woman in which they aspire to be. And for me, as I said, it's Taurus. My mother was a very much a Taurus figure. Uh, the moon the moon in the seventh house cusp is Cancer, ruled by the moon. The moon is exalted in Taurus. My sister had a Taurus moon. My father had a Taurus moon. So very much, and my mother had a sun in second house. So this, for sure, this Cancer moon type person, attracted to very emotional women in general. It's very attractive to me. The true and natural expression of Lilith is that of a pure, raw, feminine beauty. A woman that would chose freedom over just about anything else. She is Pluto and she is also Mars. She was honored and praised for initiating and fully expressing her personal freedom and sexual passion. In her original state, she is a symbol of true feminine power, complete unto herself and embodying her own brand of feminine self containment, assertion, and wholeness. Lilith is the octave transformer for Mars and Pluto. It serves as a bridge between the lower octave of Mars and the higher octave of Pluto. So I said a lot there. I think that is where this book comes into play. And I think a lot of women in particular, it's not just women, but in particular, we see this in society. Women are probably fighting with this more so than men on the externally, what we see in like the news. Uh, and with the patriarchy kind of really shifting to the patriarchy from the matriarchy in the world over the last couple thousand years, and now perhaps shifting in a long period, shifting back to that. A lot of women uh, are dealing with this because there is this necessity to be married, to be with a man, to have a family, to be part of society, etc. There's a necessity, I say, because of the world we live in order to really live a full life or to live a healthy life, some of these things need to happen. To get your own place, to move on, to have children. There has to be these other people involved, whether it be a man or the workplace. And often that is looked down upon. What's looked down upon? Uh, the pure, raw, feminine beauty, the freedom, uh, expressing her personal freedom and her sexual passion. Many people experience they're looked down upon for expressing sexual freedom, and we see the distorted. What they say? The distorted, dark moon Lilith as the distorted Lilith, where a lot of women will go through this. They'll want to, and again, it's not just women, but people will want to go through this period where they express their freedom. They'll do wild things that are um, out of the ordinary, and it becomes, we say, this distorted Lilith because they're breaking away. They're trying to deal with the history of suppression, resentment, rejection, etc. In not just their life, but we're not talking about just past lives, but the in society in general, the human experience in general. Because we don't even need to talk about past lives. This is just we can just look at history that collectively that this has been a problem, and because of that, that the people moving forward in years to come will remember that, and they will have to deal with it at some point. So we see the Mars as the octave transform between Mars and Pluto. And when you move, when you go through a Lilith experience in life, whether it could be the whole life or most of the life, and you get to Pluto. Pluto. Uh, what's her name? Many authors have wrote about Pluto versus Minerva, and we get into these different expressions of Pluto. And what are you gonna come out on the other side? Is it gonna be this higher expression of Pluto, Minerva, or is it gonna be this lower expression of Pluto going into the underworld? All the negative things that are expressed through Pluto. Which one is it gonna be? Or is it gonna be more likely it's gonna be a mix of the two? And hopefully I am expressing or embodying uh, the higher side of Pluto with this channel and with these videos. So it says here, wherever the original Lilith asteroid shows up in a man's chart reflects his ideal image of a woman. I talked about that. If the energy is blocked, the asteroid shows where we experience the themes of suppression, resentment, anger, and flight in our lives. It orbits around the sun along with many other asteroids in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. So Black Moon Lilith, let me go to Dark Moon Lilith. This is something that I gotta memorize. You have to memorize. Lilith is where the wound originated, and then Dark Moon is the where we experience the distorted aspects, and then Black Moon is where we cut away these false pretensions and delusions and actualize who we really are. So the way I look at it is Lilith, Dark Moon, and then Black Moon. Think of dark as being bad. We all can relate to that. Dark is bad, and well, it's hard. That's why it's hard to distinguish because it's Dark Moon and then it's Black Moon. So Dark Moon is a real body in the sky, a hypothetical planet resembling a dust cloud or a second moon of the Earth. It takes 119 days to orbit the Earth and spends 10 days in each sign. So Dark Moon pretty much goes around 10 days. 10 days to go through a sign. And it's a dust cloud or a second moon of Earth. And then the black moon, I believe, is not a physical body, also known as the resolution Lilith. So dark moon, also the Waldy in the chart, a mysterious dark moon seen only rarely when the sky is dark and it is either in opposition to or crossing the sun's face. Astronomers record as long ago as 1618 seeing this dark moon Lilith. And then here it talks about the men and women have been conditioned to our patriarchal culture to suppress this feminine strength, which has resulted in bitterness and resentment, inevitably leading to distortion and rage. I guess it's the idea that women don't have this side to them, and some women don't really show it anyway, or depending on the life, but uh, all of us have this within us. Dark Moon Lilith is distorted Lilith, representing Lilith's flee into a fiery rage of exile where she plots and executes her revenge. Find your Dark Moon Lilith placement and know this area also creates a channel by which we can release the rage. So you can see, like in my chart, where I was saying that it's the third house, third house, and it's in Aries. Knowing this, I can release the rage when I want to. I can choose when I want to and when I don't want to. I can choose when I want to play and when I don't. I can look at it as play. Now that I've objectified all this, at least I can try to. I can consciously plot my revenge on really how I'm going to not really have revenge on other people, but how I can experience this in my life so that I can experience Black Moon Lilith and resolve these issues. That's the point. We want to resolve these issues. We want to live with them forever. It's not fun to go through this. Our feminine principle and its evolution before, during, and beyond the patriarchy. So they're really trying to use the patriarchy as the cause. There can be many, many causes of this. Just think of it in the individual life as well. There's, like, I was given some of the causes in my life. And then we have Black Moon Lilith. This is the balancing, resolving symbol. It points out how to heal and recover our wounded, distorted feminine principle. This original feminine is what has been cast out, forcing it to sink into an unclear darkness. During the patriarchy, collectively as well as individually, for millennia, women had to literally stop existing as they once were. This affected each one of us no matter what gender we were manifesting through. Our inner feminine principle was shattered inwardly and outwardly, and it became a shadow. Just as women had to literally become a shadow of men, as it was described to them, the only way for them to exist. And even men should be mad about this. This is not a good thing. This is not a good thing for a woman to exist in her shadow, and to be a shadow of a man. I don't know who wants to be around a person like that. Healing our inner feminine aspect leads to healing our emotions and our self image. The three Lilith symbols in the chart tell an interesting and complex story within our soul history. The story of our feminine principle embraces the past, present, and the direction of the future from this particular point of view. The evolution of our feminine principle. The three Liliths can be applied to how this principle can return us as individuals or within a collective soul. The original Lilith placement for a woman reflects how you were designed by God or goddess. In a man's chart, yeah, I already said that. So that's interesting there too. The original Lilith placement for a woman reflects how you were designed by God, goddess. I mean, you could have a Lilith placement in the eighth house. Like, let's say your rising is Virgo, and your Lilith is in the eighth house of Aries. Imagine what that could be like. And that's how you're designed by God or goddess, and having to deal with that. And then going back to understanding all of this so that you can have control over it and not express it in its distorted form. I could say, I could speak on this a lot more about my opinions of what this is and how much I fucking hate society for this. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave that for another time. This resolution, Lilith, symbolizes the way we get back to our original root, hence the word resolution. Resolution Lilith lights the way back to our true feminine self. She shows you how to get back home to your unwavering center. Once any soul uncovers and remembers how they were originally designed, the Mars piece can be adjusted as in choices made, and they can now facilitate evolution. It works like a tuning fork. When any soul is in harmony with their pure self, the weight of whatever has been collected will start flying off. So let's go. I'm going to bring up my chart here. Hopefully this works. Chrome tab, window, entire screen. So hopefully this is coming up on the screen. Here we have my chart. There's Lilith at 9 degrees, as I said, in Taurus, where the wound originated. Here's the distortion. Waldy, 22 degrees Aries in the third house. And the resolution there at 1 degrees Aquarius. And there's interesting too. You could even see the Juno there, which is like sacred. I think it's like you could consider that sacred union or sacred marriage. And I do think that is the resolution for me. I mean, you could even say like ideal partner is Aquarius. An Aquarius, it's not necessarily like Aquarius sun or Aquarius moon. I do believe my first like real girlfriend was an Aquarius moon. But someone who's someone who's really considered like as a strong Uranian or Aquarius element in them in some way. And I'm going to do a video on composite astrology next, where I'm going to look at my chart in a composite with someone else who does have that. That'll be interesting. But yeah, so there's the three, and it's a little formula to put together that you have to work through. I think mine is pretty clear for the most part. I think it's nice to have both of them in the third there as well, like having that little bit of a blend of, like, if the you could say the wound originated in some kind of speaking out, and then working through the distortion where, like, in person no one gets it, but then you go to the internet and there's people that get it. You find your, find your community, etc. So I'm going to leave it there for now. Hope you enjoy this video of the Lilith Trinity, Lilith, dark moon Lilith, and black moon